The day you stop needing anyone is the day you take your power back. Let's be honest. People get tired of waiting, tired of depending, tired of getting let down. You've probably been there. You hoped someone would check in, support you, guide you, maybe even believe in you more than you believe in yourself. But they didn't. And that's exactly why this message matters. This isn't about pushing people away. It's about waking up. It's about realizing that your life is in your hands, not theirs. Most people waste years holding back because they think someone has to approve, someone has to support, someone has to say, go for it. But what if you stopped waiting? What if you made moves anyway? Right now, more than ever, people want truth. They want clarity. They want something real. And this message gives them that. You don't need anyone to get started. You just need to stop doubting yourself. Watch this. It's going to shift how you see everything. Number one, walk away from anyone who drains your energy. That's not just advice. That's a turning point. That's a decision that separates people who stay stuck from those who finally move forward in life. And it's not always easy to do. In fact, it's one of the hardest things a person ever has to do. But it's also one of the most important. You cannot live a strong life if you're constantly surrounded by people who make you feel weak. People who drain your energy don't always look like villains. Some of them smile in your face. Some of them tell you they care. But you walk away from every conversation with them feeling smaller, more confused, more tired, less motivated. That is not a healthy connection. That is emotional debt. You have to pay attention to how people make you feel. Do they push you forward or do they pull you back? Do they add clarity or do they add chaos? Are you growing around them or are you shrinking? If you're always the one doing the giving, always the one explaining, always the one fixing, always the one carrying the weight, then what you have is not a relationship. That's a one-sided transaction. And over time, it'll wear you out. Not just emotionally, but mentally, physically, and even spiritually. Some people love to be needed, but being needed is not the same as being respected. There are people in this world who will keep you around not because they value you, but because they know how much you'll tolerate. They don't care if you're tired. They don't care if you're burned out. They just care that you're available. And the day you finally say no or set a boundary, you'll see exactly where you stand. You'll learn who was truly there for you and who was there because you made their life easier while yours got heavier. You have to protect your energy like it's your life, because in many ways it is. Energy is not unlimited. You only get so much in a day, so much in a week, so much in a lifetime. And if you waste it on people who bring you stress, who keep you doubting yourself, who never support you when it matters, then you'll run out before you ever get to build the life you deserve. And here's the truth. It's not selfish to walk away from that. It's necessary. You are not here to be someone's emotional punching bag. You are not here to constantly explain your worth. You are not here to convince people to treat you better. You are here to grow. You are here to move forward. You are here to become something more. Now, some people might say, but I've known them for years, or but their family, or but they've been there through hard times. And maybe that's true. Maybe they were there once. But what about now? Are they helping you now? Are they building with you now? Or are they just taking up space because of history? Respecting the past is fine, but staying stuck in it will cost you your future. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to say, this no longer works for me. And the moment you do that, the moment you say, I don't owe anyone my peace, something powerful happens. You get your life back. When you walk away from people who drain you, you create space for new things, for better conversations, for real support, for people who see your worth without you having to explain it. People who want to see you win, people who push you to grow, not guilt you into staying small. But you won't find those people until you walk away from the ones who hold you back. That's the test. That's the step most people are afraid to take. They'd rather stay in bad company than be alone for a while. But hear me clearly, being alone is better than being around people who make you feel like nothing. Being alone gives you time to think, time to heal, time to rediscover what you care about. It's in that quiet space that you build real strength. You have to stop lowering your standards just to keep someone in your life, because the longer you do that, the harder it becomes to rise. When you constantly tolerate what drains you, you teach yourself that it's normal. You start thinking that exhaustion is love, that walking on eggshells is kindness, that silence is peace. But none of that is true. That's not what real support looks like. Real support feels safe. Real support feels solid. It doesn't leave you confused. It doesn't leave you tired. It doesn't leave you doubting your value. Every time you give your energy to someone who takes it for granted, you lose a piece of yourself. And piece by piece, day by day, you stop recognizing who you are. That's how people lose years of their life. Chasing approval, pleasing others, staying in places where their voice doesn't matter. You don't need anyone who makes you feel like that. You don't need to explain your worth over and over. You don't need to apologize for growing. You don't need to sacrifice your peace. Make a list of how you feel around certain people. That's the only evidence you need. Do you feel calm after talking to them, or do you feel drained? Do you feel seen, or do you feel invisible? Do you feel motivated, or do you feel stuck? You don't need a long explanation. You don't need a dramatic ending. Just walk away, quietly, calmly, with your head held high. You don't owe anyone access to you, especially if they abuse it, especially if they use your kindness as weakness. The strongest people I've ever met weren't loud. They didn't talk about how much they cut people off. They just started choosing peace. They started protecting their mornings. They started guarding their focus. They stopped showing up to places that left them empty. That's power. That's maturity. That's real growth. If someone calls you selfish for walking away from what drains you, they were probably benefiting from your exhaustion. Let them talk. Your job is not to manage their opinion. Your job is to manage your future, to build something better, to live with peace in your heart, not chaos in your head. And if you think walking away means you're weak, no, walking away is the moment you stop being weak. It's the moment you stop giving second chances to people who don't change. It's the moment you stop waiting for someone to become who they promised they'd be. It's the moment you choose to live with honesty instead of hope. There's freedom in that. There's clarity in that. You don't have to keep dragging broken connections just because you're afraid to be alone. The right people will never drain you. They'll support you. They'll understand you. They'll respect your space. They'll match your effort. But before you meet them, you have to be willing to walk away from the wrong ones. That's the price. That's the path. That's the process. Walk away from anyone who drains your energy, not because you hate them, not because you're bitter, but because you finally love yourself enough to stop settling for less. You owe yourself that much. And once you do it, once you finally take that step, everything starts to change. You think clearer, you sleep better, you feel lighter. You begin to show up for life with new energy. You begin to move differently. And slowly, the right people start to show up, not because you needed them, but because you became the kind of person who no longer accepts what drains them. That's how you grow. That's how you win. That's how you get your life back, not by fixing others, not by waiting, but by walking away from everything that's been pulling you down and standing tall in your own life, alone if needed, strong because of it. Number 2, take control of your life without asking anyone. That's a requirement if you want real change. Most people are stuck not because they're incapable, but because they're still waiting. Waiting for someone to approve them. Waiting for someone to tell them it's okay. Waiting for permission that they never needed in the first place. You don't need anyone to tell you when to start. You don't need someone else to confirm that your ideas matter. You're not here to live under someone's opinion. You're here to take ownership of what happens next. When you keep asking for approval, what you're really saying is, I don't trust myself. And the more you do that, the more you train your brain to doubt every step. Life is short. You can't keep putting your power in other people's hands. Every time you ask someone what they think before you move, you put your future on pause. And the truth is, most people don't even know what they're doing with their own life. Yet we wait for their input on ours. If you want to get ahead, you've got to stop explaining everything to everyone. Some people won't understand your goals, and that's fine. Some people will talk behind your back. Some will doubt you. Some will roll their eyes when you try to improve yourself. Let them. That's not your job to fix. Your job is to keep moving forward anyway. No one else is living your life. No one else feels your stress. No one else deals with your bills, your fears, your regrets, your pressure. You do. So why hand over your decisions to people who don't carry your responsibilities? It doesn't make sense. When you stop waiting for someone to greenlight your goals, your life starts to shift. Not overnight, not instantly, but steadily, consistently. It's how you build something that lasts. The people who get the furthest in life are not the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who made a decision and followed through. They didn't check with 10 people first. They didn't ask if it was too risky. They didn't waste time second-guessing their gut. They trusted their ability to figure it out along the way. You can do that too. Taking control doesn't mean you never listen to anyone. It means you don't rely on everyone. There's a difference. You can accept advice, but you don't have to ask for permission. You can hear feedback, but you don't have to wait for applause. Too many people waste years trying to get support from people who don't even support themselves. You don't need a crowd. You don't need a cheerleader. You need a commitment to your own path, even if no one walks it with you. Some people spend their entire life living in fear of what others might say. And because of that, they never say what they really think. They never do what they really want. They live half a life, quiet, frustrated, hidden. Don't become that. You're not here to please everyone. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to become someone you're proud of. Stop waiting to feel ready. Confidence comes after you take the first step, not before. If you wait for everything to feel perfect, you'll be stuck forever. Perfection is an illusion that stops people from ever starting. Start anyway. Even if it's messy, even if it's awkward, even if people talk, just start. That's how progress begins. Your life is yours. Your time is limited. And if you keep living on other people's terms, you will regret it. You'll look back and wonder why you didn't move sooner, why you kept holding back, why you stayed quiet, why you let fear speak louder than your own voice. That pain is real. And the worst part, no one else will feel that regret but you. That's why it's your job to take the wheel. Today, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Take responsibility for what's in front of you. Don't blame anyone. Don't wait for someone to show up and save you. No one is coming. And that's not a reason to panic. It's a reason to rise. You are the only one who knows how much you can take. You are the only one who knows what you're capable of. So stop handing over control of your decisions to people who don't understand your dreams. Some people may leave you when you start changing. That's fine. If they were meant to be part of your journey, they would grow with you, not hold you back. Don't shrink to keep people comfortable. Don't water yourself down to stay acceptable. When you play small, you suffer. You're not meant to live a quiet life that fits in someone else's box. You're meant to live fully, to grow, to rise, to evolve, even if that makes others uncomfortable. Think about this. How many things have you put off because you were afraid of how someone might react? How many times have you stayed silent when you had something important to say? How many dreams have you delayed because you needed someone else to say, yeah, go for it? That has to end now. No more waiting, no more checking, no more asking. You know what needs to be done. The only question is, are you willing to take the first step without waiting for someone else to clap for you? You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know it all. You just need to move. One step at a time, one decision at a time. You'll get stronger as you go. You'll get clearer as you grow. And the more you show up for yourself, the less you'll care who notices. Your life is not a group project. It's your responsibility, your work, your effort, your wins, your lessons. Own them. And don't be afraid to stand alone while you build what matters. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Taking control of your life without asking anyone doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It means you stop depending on others to feel good about yourself. It means you stop needing outside voices to validate your direction. And it means you take your life seriously enough to stop living by default. Don't wait for someone to agree. Don't wait for them to understand. Don't wait for the perfect timing. Take control now. Do what you said you would. Keep the promises you made to yourself. And watch how everything starts to shift, not because someone else gave you permission, but because you finally gave it to yourself. Number 3, rely on yourself when no one shows up. That moment right there, that quiet space where you realize nobody is coming, is where everything begins to change. It's not a weakness to stand alone. It's a sign you've finally started taking yourself seriously. It means you've stopped waiting for someone else to show up and solve it. It means you've recognized that the person responsible for your life is you. And the moment you really understand that, you start to move differently. Most people don't talk about how lonely the journey gets. They don't tell you about the nights you have to figure it out on your own. They don't explain the silence you hear when you need support and nobody picks up the phone. That silence is painful. But that silence also builds something stronger than words ever could. It forces you to look inward. It forces you to build trust with yourself. And that trust is what will carry you through every hard season of your life. You're going to face days where nobody checks on you. Nobody asks how you're doing. Nobody celebrates your small wins. Nobody encourages you to keep going. And in those moments, you will have a choice to fall apart or to step up, to shrink or to show up, to rely on someone who isn't there, or to rely on the one person who always is, you. You won't always have a support system. You won't always get a pat on the back. You won't always get that call from a friend or a text that says, I'm proud of you. But you can't build your life on the hope that someone else will come through. You have to become the person you can count on every single time. That means being honest with yourself. That means doing the work even when no one notices. That means wiping your own tears, fixing your own mistakes, standing back up without waiting for someone to help you. It's not because you don't deserve help. It's because sometimes it's just not available. And if you wait for it, you'll fall behind. You'll stay stuck. You'll keep replaying the same cycle. Stop expecting people to do for you what they're not willing or capable of doing. That expectation drains your energy. You can waste years feeling disappointed in people who never had the capacity to support you. Or you can accept that reality and shift your energy back to where it belongs, yourself. When you learn to rely on yourself, you become dangerous in the best way. Because nothing can stop a person who isn't waiting anymore. Not waiting to be noticed, not waiting to be rescued, not waiting for someone to say you're allowed. You've got to give yourself the green light. You've got to be the one who says, I'm doing this, whether anyone shows up or not. Some of the strongest decisions you'll ever make will happen when you're alone. Not because you chose to be alone, but because no one else showed up. And that's when you learn just how much strength you've got inside of you. That's when you discover that you don't need an audience to be committed. You don't need applause to stay consistent. You don't need validation to keep pushing. People might support you when it's easy, when it's convenient, when it fits their schedule. But when life gets hard, people tend to disappear, and that's not something to take personally. That's something to prepare for. You have to be ready to carry yourself through every storm, not out of pride, but out of responsibility, because no one else is going to fight for your future the way you will. Some people will tell you they're there for you, but they won't be. They'll say all the right things, but when it matters, they'll be missing, and you have to be okay with that. You have to move forward anyway. You have to learn not to collapse every time someone else lets you down. Being independent doesn't mean you never feel the pain. It means you don't let the pain stop you. It means you don't break every time someone walks away. It means you keep doing the work, even if your hands are shaky, even if your heart is tired, even if you're not sure what comes next. This world rewards those who take initiative, not those who wait around, not those who expect the world to hand them something. If you want to succeed, you need to become your own backup plan, your own motivation, your own reason to keep going. You have to become someone who gets up every morning and decides to fight for their future, whether anyone else is watching or not. You have to become someone who keeps showing up, even if the room is empty. You have to become someone who looks in the mirror and says, I've got me, and that's enough. You don't build strength in comfort. You build strength in isolation, in effort, in discipline, in showing up, even when your mind tells you to quit. That kind of strength isn't loud. It's not always pretty, but it's real, and it lasts. You'll meet people who disappear the moment you stop giving. You'll meet people who only come around when it benefits them. That's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to stop relying on that kind of energy. Build something unshakable in yourself. Build habits that work when motivation doesn't. Build discipline that lasts even when inspiration is gone. There's nothing wrong with needing support, but there is something wrong with depending on it so much that you can't function without it. Life will not wait for you to feel ready. It won't pause while you look for someone to lean on. And the people you admire, those who've truly built something worthwhile, they got there because they stopped asking who would help and started helping themselves. So when nobody shows up, don't break down. Step up. Do the work. Get uncomfortable. Set your alarm. Study the craft. Practice again. Fail again. Learn again. Rise again. Even if no one sees you. Even if no one believes you. Even if you're the only one clapping. Because one day your results will speak louder than their silence. Keep your standards high. Keep your focus tight. Keep your energy guarded. Don't give pieces of yourself to people who aren't showing up for the whole version of you. The people who matter will find you. But until then, show yourself that you can carry your own weight, that you can depend on your own word, that you can walk your path. Even if you're walking it alone, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to prove to yourself that you won't fold when it gets hard. You need to see yourself win without a crowd. You need to feel what it's like to overcome without applause. And you will if you stop waiting and start relying on the only person who has never left your side. Number 4, build your future without needing constant support. That's a powerful shift. That's when you stop leaning on everyone and finally start standing on your own 2 feet. Because if you're always looking over your shoulder to see who's backing you up, you're going to move slowly. You're going to hesitate. You're going to second guess everything you do. And that hesitation, it will cost you. Not just time, not just opportunity, but confidence, clarity, direction. You don't need someone pushing you every day. You need to become someone who moves forward with or without a push. In real life, the truth is simple. People are busy. People have their own problems, their own stress, their own distraction. So if you're relying on daily encouragement, if you're depending on someone to keep cheering you on every step of the way, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Not because people are bad, but because they're not responsible for your drive. That has to come from you. You have to be willing to keep going when the compliments stop. You have to be willing to keep building even when the excitement fades. You have to be willing to stay focused when no one's watching. Most people quit not because they didn't have the skill, but because they couldn't move forward without someone holding their hand. If you want to grow, you've got to cut that tie. There's nothing wrong with having support. It's helpful. It's encouraging. But the problem starts when it becomes a requirement. When you can't take action unless someone tells you to. When you can't stay consistent unless someone reminds you why you started. When you feel stuck every time people don't show up. That's a weakness. That's a dependence, and it'll keep you small. Your future belongs to you, no one else. So why wait on others to validate your steps? Why pause your progress because someone didn't check in? Why delay your decisions because no one clapped? The most successful people in the world built something not because everyone agreed, but because they made a commitment to stay consistent, whether people supported them or not. You have to wake up and take action regardless of who's watching. You have to be willing to fail and try again, even if nobody tells you you're doing great. You have to build your goals with a sense of urgency that doesn't depend on outside motivation, because you won't always have someone calling to say keep going. You won't always have a friend to remind you to stay strong. And in those moments, if you haven't trained yourself to keep moving anyway, you'll fall apart. Think about what happens when you lean on someone too much. You start to lose your own footing. You start to doubt your ability to do it on your own. And then the day they're not available, you freeze. You second guess everything. You feel lost. That's the danger of depending on constant support. It kills your independence. The truth is, most people want the outcome, but they don't want the solitude. They want the success, but not the silence. They want the rewards, but not the responsibility. And that's where the separation begins. Because the few who push through the silence, the ones who keep showing up without being noticed, those are the ones who build something real. It takes maturity to keep building without feedback. It takes strength to wake up and chase goals that no one else believes in yet. It takes discipline to show up on the hard days, when your phone doesn't ring and your inbox is empty. That's the part of the process nobody likes to talk about, but it's where all the growth lives. You can't keep waiting for someone to inspire you. Some days, you'll have to be your own reason. You'll have to be the one who looks in the mirror and says, I don't care if nobody claps. I'm gonna do it anyway. And when you do that consistently, something shifts inside of you. You start to trust yourself more. You start to take ownership of your action. You start to see that real power comes from within, not from people constantly cheering you on. You are not weak because you're doing it alone. You're strong because you're doing it anyway. And the longer you keep going without expecting someone to carry you, the more unstoppable you become. You build a kind of inner toughness that doesn't crumble every time things get quiet. And that quiet, that's where most people give up. But if you can keep going in that silence, you've already won half the battle. Building your future doesn't require a crowd. It doesn't require validation. It requires consistency. It requires clarity. It requires you to make daily decisions that align with the person you want to become. Not because someone else reminded you, but because you finally took responsibility for your life. Think about where you want to be in 5 years. Now ask yourself, will you get there if you keep needing someone to push you every step of the way? Probably not, because every time that push is missing, your progress stops. That's why you need to build your future on self-reliance. That's why you need to stop waiting and start acting, even if the only person cheering you on is the one in the mirror. People may support you once in a while. They may show up in the beginning. They might even encourage you during the good times. But don't build your life around that. Build it around habits that work when motivation fades. Build it around systems that don't rely on someone checking in. Build it around the idea that no matter who comes or goes, you will keep showing up. You have to believe in your direction more than others believe in your comfort. You have to take steps even when you feel unsure, because your future is being built with or without your permission. And if you're not intentional about it, you'll end up living a version of your life that was shaped by hesitation and outside opinions. Stop waiting for permission to take action. Stop hoping someone will call and remind you to stay focused. Stop needing a constant voice in your ear telling you to keep going. You know what needs to be done. The hard part isn't figuring it out. The hard part is showing up when no one tells you to. That's where most people fail. But you don't have to. You can be the one who keeps going when no one shows up. You can be the one who builds something strong without applause. You can be the one who proves that success isn't given, it's built. One decision, one habit, one step at a time. No spotlight, no loud support, just discipline, just focus, just self-respect. And in the end, when your future takes shape and the results start to speak for themselves, you'll know exactly why it all worked. You didn't wait on anyone. You moved because it was time. You worked because you believed. You followed through because you refused to quit. That's what building your future looks like. And you did it without needing anyone to hold your hand. That's power. That's ownership. That's real freedom. Number 5, focus on your goals, not people's opinions. That single shift will change the way you live, the way you think, and the results you get. Most people never reach their potential because they spend too much time trying to please others. They want to be liked. They want to be accepted. They want everyone to them. But here's the truth. Chasing opinions is a losing game. You'll never win it, because no matter what you do, someone will always have something to say. And if you let that noise direct your life, you'll always be behind. You were not born to fit into someone else's expectations. You were born with your own mind, your own drive, your own path. And that path doesn't require public approval. It requires discipline. It requires action. It requires sacrifice. People on the sidelines will always talk. It's easy to criticize when you're not the one doing the work. But opinions don't build anything. Opinions don't pay your bills. Opinions won't carry you through the hard times. Your goals will. You've got to decide what matters more: being liked or being fulfilled. You can't have both. If you spend your life editing yourself so you can keep everyone else happy, you'll end up exhausted, frustrated, and far from the life you really want. You can't move forward with one foot in your own dreams and the other stuck in someone else's approval. It doesn't work that way. Every minute you spend worrying about what people think is a minute stolen from your progress. That time adds up. That mental energy adds up. You start thinking more about their opinions than your own purpose. You stop creating. You stop building. You stop pushing, all because you're trying to control what others think of you. And the truth is, they're going to think what they want anyway. Whether you succeed or fail, people will talk. Whether you grow or stay the same, someone will always have a comment. So you might as well do what matters to you. You don't need to explain your vision to everyone. Some people won't get it. Some people will laugh at it. Some people will doubt it. That's not your problem. Your problem is whether you're disciplined enough to keep showing up. Your problem is whether you're focused enough to avoid distraction. Your problem is whether you're strong enough to keep going without applause. That's what builds real results, not being liked. Being focused. Sometimes people criticize you not because you're wrong, but because your growth makes them uncomfortable. When you start setting goals, when you start leveling up, when you start talking about change, you'll make people nervous. Not because you're hurting them, but because your movement reminds them of their own lack of action. They'll project that discomfort onto you. They'll call you unrealistic. They'll say you've changed. They'll downplay your effort. Don't let that get in your head. Their opinion says more about them than it does about you. You are not responsible for how others feel about your decisions. You're responsible for staying true to what matters. If your goals are real to you, they're worth protecting. They're worth prioritizing. And if that means disappointing a few people along the way, then so be it. You weren't put on this earth to meet everyone's expectations. You were put here to grow into who you are capable of becoming. Distractions don't always look like scrolling your phone or wasting time. Sometimes distractions come in the form of people. People who question you constantly. People who doubt your moves. People who don't respect your boundaries. And every time you let that affect you, you lose focus. You lose drive. You lose clarity. One negative comment can mess with your head for a whole day if you let it. That's why protecting your mental space is a skill. That's why knowing your priorities matters. You can't keep bending every time someone doesn't like what you're doing. You can't keep changing direction just because someone raised an eyebrow. The longer you try to satisfy everyone, the further you get from your own path. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you built a life full of compromise. A life that kept everyone else comfortable while you stayed unfulfilled. Don't let that be your story. Your goals need your attention. Your goals need your consistency, not your explanations, not your apologies, not your guilt, just your full presence and your daily effort. Every big result you see in the world started with someone who was willing to be misunderstood for a while, someone who was okay with being doubted, someone who didn't care if people talked behind their back, because they were focused, because they had something more important on their mind than fitting in. Don't be afraid to stand alone. That's where clarity lives. That's where discipline gets built. That's where progress happens. When you stop trying to be everything to everyone, you finally get to become something strong, something honest. And that honesty is what gives your life weight. It gives your goals meaning. It keeps you grounded when things get tough. There's power in being misunderstood. It means you're doing something different. It means you're not stuck in the same loop. It means you're willing to grow, and growth is uncomfortable for you and for everyone watching. But if you're focused, that discomfort won't stop you. It'll sharpen you. Most people are afraid of judgment because they don't trust themselves. They need constant validation to feel secure. That's why they quit the moment things get quiet. But when you start trusting your own judgment more than you fear their opinions, you become unshakable. You move with a different level of focus. You stop flinching when someone doubts you. You stop hesitating when someone disagrees. You start living from purpose, not permission. Don't let outside noise ruin your inner focus. Keep your circle tight. Keep your boundaries strong. Not everyone needs access to your goals. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. The more focused you become, the more you'll realize that peace is better than popularity. Clarity is better than approval. Progress is better than validation. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. You just need to stay locked in on what matters. You just need to keep your head down and do the work, day after day, step after step. No shortcuts, no detours, just focused effort. You've got something to build. You've got something to prove to yourself. So stop letting opinions shape your decisions. Let results do the talking. Let your consistency speak for you. Let your goals take center stage. Not their judgment, not their opinions, not their noise. You weren't made to be liked. You were made to rise. And that rise begins the moment you decide that their opinions no longer decide your next move. Keep building. Keep choosing your goals, no matter who approves. Number 6, say no to people who don't respect you. That one decision can shift your entire life. Not because it changes them, but because it changes you. It draws the line between the version of you that tolerates anything just to keep peace, and the version of you that finally starts choosing peace from within. If someone cannot respect your time, your effort, your space, or your values, they should not have access to you. It's that clear. Respect is not something you should have to beg for. If it's not being given, your job is not to convince, it's to walk away. People who don't respect you will always test your limits. They'll push you little by little to see how much they can get away with. And the more you say yes, the more they take. Not because you're weak, but because they know you haven't built the courage yet to say no. But every time you let disrespect slide, you teach yourself to tolerate what hurts you. You lower the bar, you shrink your worth, and slowly, your self-esteem starts to fade without you even realizing it. Saying no isn't rude. Saying no isn't selfish. Saying no is the way you protect your energy, your dignity, your goals, and your identity. If someone gets offended by your boundaries, they were benefiting from your lack of them. And once you start standing firm, you'll start noticing who truly valued you and who only valued your silence. When you say no to someone who's crossed the line, you're not creating conflict. You're creating clarity. You're letting that person know where you stand. You're making it known that your kindness isn't weakness, that your patience isn't endless, and that your time is not up for negotiation. It may upset them. It may surprise them, but it will protect you. And at the end of the day, you live with yourself, not their opinion of you. Some people are only in your life because you've never told them the truth. You've never said no. You've never made them feel the consequences of their actions. And that's why they stay the same. They stay comfortable because they know you'll always forgive. You'll always pick up the phone. You'll always say yes, even when it hurts. But the moment you change that pattern, the dynamic shifts. They either rise to your level or they walk away. And either outcome is a win. You don't need people in your life who pretend to care, but never show up. You don't need people who only reach out when they need something. You don't need people who make you feel guilty for setting standards. That's not friendship. That's not loyalty. That's not love. That's convenience. And you deserve better than that. The most powerful word you can learn is no. It doesn't require explanation. It doesn't need to be followed with guilt. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you value yourself. It means you've learned that not everyone deserves a seat in your life. It means you're finally taking yourself seriously. If someone constantly puts you down, makes fun of your efforts, ignores your needs, or manipulates your time, they don't respect you. And if you keep allowing that behavior, it won't change. People treat you based on what you tolerate. Raise your standards, and the ones who refuse to meet them will leave. That's not rejection, that's protection. You can be kind without being available to everyone. You can be generous without allowing people to drain you. You can be caring without letting others walk over you. And sometimes, saying no is the most honest way to show someone what you will and won't accept. Not to hurt them, but to protect your peace. A lot of people stay in situations they hate because they fear the discomfort of speaking up. But silence doesn't solve the problem. It delays it. And the longer you delay it, the more you carry that weight around. It shows up in your stress, in your sleep, in your energy, in your focus. You're not imagining it. Tolerating disrespect comes at a cost, and saying no is how you stop paying that price. When you stop being available to people who don't value you, you make space for the right people to come in. People who speak to you with respect. People who keep their word. People who care about how you feel. But those people won't show up until you clean out the ones who don't. You can't make room for better while holding on to what's been hurting you. It's not your job to change people. It's not your responsibility to teach someone how to treat others. Your job is to lead your life with respect. First toward yourself, and that respect will set the tone for everything else. If you wouldn't let a stranger talk to you a certain way, don't let a friend or family member do it either. Being close to someone doesn't give them a free pass to disrespect you. Start paying attention to how people react when you say no. Do they get defensive? Do they try to guilt you? Do they try to change the subject? Or do they accept it with understanding? That reaction tells you everything. People who truly respect you won't fight your boundaries. They'll honor them. They'll appreciate them. They'll match your energy instead of draining it. And you don't have to wait for a big moment to say no. You can do it in the small moment. When someone asks for your time but never gives any back. When someone keeps interrupting you and never listens. When someone makes jokes at your expense and expects you to laugh. That's when you speak up. That's when you say, "That's not okay with me." Calm, clear, strong. It doesn't need to be dramatic. You don't have to scream or argue. You just need to be firm. You just need to mean it. And when you start doing that, you'll feel different. You'll feel lighter, more in control, more peaceful. Because every time you say no to what disrespects you, you're saying yes to yourself. You're not being harsh. You're being real. You're showing up for yourself in a way that maybe you never have before. And it might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's the kind of discomfort that leads to real change. The kind that creates space for growth, strength, and honesty. You don't need to explain your worth. You just need to protect it. You don't need to defend your boundaries. You just need to enforce them. And the people who truly see you, the ones who really care, they won't be threatened by your strength. They'll respect it. They'll grow with it. They'll meet you where you are. So say no when you need to, without guilt, without apology, without hesitation. Because saying no to people who don't respect you isn't about pushing people away. It's about bringing yourself closer to the life you actually deserve. That's how you create real peace. That's how you earn real respect. And that's how you finally take your life back. Number 7. Push forward even when you feel completely alone. That's where your strength is born. That's when you discover what you're really made of. It's easy to move forward when everything feels good, when people support you, when life flows your way. But that's not where growth happens. Growth happens when the room is quiet, when your phone doesn't ring, when no one checks in, and the only person left to believe in you is you. That's the part no one prepares you for. That's the part that breaks most people. But it doesn't have to break you. Being alone doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. Sometimes it means you're finally walking the right one. Because when you commit to change, when you chase something meaningful, when you rise above the comfort zone, you'll lose people. You'll lose distractions. You'll lose approval. That isolation. It's not punishment. It's a test. To see if you'll keep going even when no one is watching. To see if your vision is real or just talk. To see if you move only when it's convenient or if you move because it matters. There will be days you wake up and question why you're doing all of this. No one's calling. No one's noticing. You start to feel invisible. You start to wonder if any of it matters. And in that space, you must decide. Do you slow down? Do you wait for company? Or do you push forward? Knowing that no one owes you support. No one owes you understanding. And no one is responsible for carrying your vision but you. You don't need everyone to understand your path. You don't need applause to move. You need grit. You need focus. You need the kind of self-respect that says, I'm not quitting just because it feels heavy right now. Because truthfully, it will feel heavy. It will feel quiet. It will feel lonely. But lonely doesn't mean empty. It just means you're growing beyond the need to be surrounded all the time. The world rewards consistency, not neediness, not emotions, not popularity, but commitment. And commitment often happens in silence, behind closed doors, in early mornings, in late nights, in the moments no one will ever see. Those moments build something inside you that can't be taught. It can't be borrowed. It can't be faked. It can only be earned by pushing through. It's not about waiting until you feel ready. It's about moving even when you don't, even when you're tired, even when your heart is heavy, even when everyone else has walked away. Your strength is not measured by how loud you are. It's measured by how consistent you are. When no one's around to clap, it's easy to be confident with a crowd. But what about when you're the only one left in the room? You have to be your own reason, your own motivation, your own backup plan. Because there will be seasons when no one shows up, not out of hate, not out of spite, just because life pulls people in different directions. And if your progress depends on someone holding your hand, you won't make it very far. You need to develop the habit of moving forward without needing permission, without needing approval, without needing company. Push through the fear, push through the doubt, push through the silence. Because on the other side of that effort is the life you keep saying you want, and it's waiting on you to keep going. People will come and go, but your dreams remain your responsibility. You can't outsource discipline. You can't borrow commitment. You can't delegate belief. Those things live inside you, and the only way to activate them is to act. Even when everything in you wants to slow down. No one's gonna knock on your door and hand you the life you want. No one's gonna text you daily and tell you to stay focused. No one's gonna hold your hand every step of the way. And if they do, it won't last. Because people are not built to carry the weight of your life. You are. That's why your mindset matters more than your surroundings. If you train your mind to keep going without attention, without noise, without support, you become unstoppable. You become the kind of person who doesn't break under pressure, who doesn't fold when it gets quiet, who doesn't collapse just because the crowd got smaller. Every person who's built something real has been through this. They've had days where the silence screamed louder than their motivation. They've had moments where quitting felt easier. They've had seasons where it seemed like no one cared, but they kept going. Not because it felt good, but because they knew the mission was bigger than the moment. You must keep your eyes on where you're going, not on who isn't walking beside you. Some of the most important steps in your journey will be taken alone. And when you get to the finish line, when you look back and realize what you pushed through, that will matter more than anyone's opinion, anyone's support, anyone's presence. Use the silence as fuel. Use the isolation as a signal that you're maturing. Use the hard days as proof that you're doing something most people avoid. Because most people will wait their whole life to feel supported before they act. And because of that, they never do. But you can decide to act without waiting. You can decide to push forward with no one watching. You can decide to build something that lasts. Starting now. There's nothing wrong with feeling alone, but there's something powerful in deciding to rise anyway, to keep going, to keep working, to keep showing up even when no one says thank you, even when you feel invisible. Because effort compounds, discipline compounds, consistency compounds, and the person who learns to keep pushing no matter what wins. So don't slow down just because it's quiet. Don't second guess yourself just because the room is empty. Don't hold back because no one sees you. If you keep showing up, if you keep doing the work, if you keep pushing forward even when you feel completely alone, you will grow, you will rise, you will become someone you're proud. And when people finally see you win, they'll never understand how much you did in silence. But you'll know, you'll remember every quiet morning, every empty room, every lonely effort, and it'll mean more than anything they could ever say. Number 8. Make decisions without asking for second opinions. That's where real self-trust begins. That's the line that separates people who lead their life from people who follow uncertainty. When you keep looking around for someone else to agree with you before you move, you're telling yourself you can't be trusted. You're handing your confidence away piece by piece. And over time, you forget how to move without being guided. You forget how to trust your own voice. You start doubting every thought you have, every step you consider. Because somewhere deep down, you've learned to believe that someone else knows better than you. But here's the truth. Nobody knows your life like you do. No one understands your goals, your values, your past, your mindset, your experience, your hunger, your limitations like you do. So why keep putting the weight of your decisions in someone else's hands? Why wait for a second voice to confirm what your gut already knows? You don't need that. You need clarity. You need courage. And most of all, you need to stop fearing what could go wrong so much that you freeze. Every time you delay a decision to seek reassurance, you weaken the part of you that's supposed to lead, that voice inside you. Your instinct, it gets quieter the more you ignore it. And the more people you involve in your decisions, the more noise you invite into your life. Opinions are not clarity. Advice is not certainty. And other people's comfort zones are not a good map for your potential. Most people don't realize how much time they waste second-guessing themselves, asking 10 people the same question, watching their faces, measuring their reactions, searching for that one comment that will finally make them feel safe. But safety doesn't come from outside. It comes from you deciding to trust your choices, even if they don't work out perfectly, even if they lead to mistakes, because growth isn't built by always being right. Growth is built by acting, adjusting, and learning as you go. The habit of always seeking second opinions doesn't just slow you down, it keeps you stuck. You start filtering your entire life through the lens of someone else's perspective. You don't act unless you get the green light. You don't trust your vision unless it gets a nod. You don't believe in your own mind unless someone else backs it up. And when that happens, your independence dies quietly. Not in a loud, obvious way, but in small daily choices where you doubt yourself over and over again. You were not meant to live like that. You were meant to take ownership. You were meant to say, "This is what I'm doing," and move forward without needing someone to say it's okay. That kind of decisiveness builds confidence fast. It rewires the way you operate. It teaches you to believe in your logic, your patterns, your ideas. It teaches you that even if something goes wrong, you can handle it. And you can. Think about the last time you made a decision without asking for anyone's opinion. No texting 5 people, no calling for reassurance, no polling your friends, just you, your situation, and a clear choice. That felt different, didn't it? That felt powerful, because that's how power works. It doesn't scream, it doesn't ask, it acts, quietly, clearly, with certainty. It's not about arrogance, it's about responsibility. It's about understanding that if you're going to live with the consequences of a choice, then you should also be the one making it. If something fails, it's yours to own. But it's also yours to grow from. And when something works, you don't have to share credit with 5 opinions. You get to say, "I chose this, I followed through, I built this." That kind of ownership changes everything. The people you keep asking for opinions, they don't always have your best interest in mind. Sometimes they project their fears. Sometimes they speak from their own limit. Sometimes they're uncomfortable seeing you take risks they wouldn't take. And if you let that shape your choices, you're no longer living your life. You're living their version of it. A safer, smaller version. One that might keep you comfortable, but will never make you proud. You don't have to be reckless. You can take time to think. You can plan carefully. You can learn from others. But once you have the information, once you've taken it in, it's your decision to make. You don't need to keep looping the same question through everyone around you, hoping for a sign. That's not thinking. That's stalling, and it steals your momentum. There will come a time when you have to make a decision that no one else agrees with. They won't see what you see. They won't understand why you're doing it. They may even try to talk you out of it. That's not the moment to pause. That's the moment to push forward. Because the decisions that change your life will never be the ones that everyone claps for. They'll be the ones you made quietly, without approval, without applause, but with full commitment. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to announce your plan. You just need to act. Let people question you. Let them wonder. Let them talk. You don't owe them explanations. You owe yourself progress. And progress only happens when you start trusting yourself more than you trust outside voices. Stop giving everyone a vote on your future. Not everyone is qualified. Not everyone sees clearly. Not everyone wants what's best for you. Some people want you to stay the same. Some people want you to stay small. Some people want you to keep needing them. And every time you ask them what to do, you give them power they haven't earned. You were given a mind for a reason. Use it. Study. Think critically. Reflect. And then make the call. If it works, great. If it doesn't, learn. But never again let the fear of being wrong stop you from moving. The more decisions you make on your own, the faster you grow. The more your confidence grows, the more your clarity sharpens. And eventually, you won't even think about asking someone else what they think. You'll just know. You don't need a second opinion to do what you believe in. You don't need to wait for agreement before you commit. You need to trust that your path might not make sense to others. And that's fine. It doesn't have to. It only has to make sense to you. The people who reach the top don't get there by constantly looking around for approval. They get there because they know when it's time to stop asking and start acting. Make the decision. Own it. Stand by it. Learn from it. But stop giving your power away in exchange for temporary comfort. You don't need someone else to agree before you grow. You don't need someone else to see it before you believe it. All you need is the courage to decide and the discipline to follow through. Number 9, show up for yourself every single damn day. Not just when you feel good, not only when life is easy, not only when someone's watching. Every day means every day. No excuses, no delays, no waiting for motivation to kick in. This is about discipline. This is about proving to yourself that you matter enough to be there for your own growth, your own success, and your own future. Without needing a reminder, a pat on the back, or a perfect mood to make it happen. Most people don't show up because they think they have time. They think missing one day won't matter. They think skipping their routine, ignoring their goals, and pushing things to tomorrow is harmless. But it's not. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you send a signal to yourself, I don't matter enough to follow through. That's what makes people stuck. That's what keeps them in the same place for years. Mentally, emotionally, physically. They keep showing up for others, but never for themselves. You don't get stronger by reading about it. You don't grow by thinking about what you should do. You grow by doing. You grow by deciding that no matter what happens today, you're going to give something to your future. Whether it's 5 minutes of action or 5 hours of focus, you're going to do something that moves you forward. You don't skip days when it comes to brushing your teeth, eating, or checking your phone. So why skip on yourself? There are no shortcuts here. There are no secrets. The real edge is consistency. And consistency is built one day at a time. It's built on mornings when you're tired, on nights when you feel discouraged, on days when nobody believes in you. You still show up. You still do the work. Because when you don't show up, your goals don't pause. They just fade. Your confidence fades, your belief in yourself fades. But when you do show up, even in silence, even in discomfort, you build something solid inside you, something unshakable. This is about showing up when your emotions say no, when your body feels off, when your mind tells you to quit. That's when it counts the most. That's when it matters, because anyone can show up when they're inspired. But inspiration doesn't last. What lasts is what you do when inspiration is nowhere to be found. What lasts is the habit of showing up anyway. Your future self is watching every choice you make, every effort you give, every day you either show up or you don't. That's being recorded. That's being stored. And later you'll either reap the benefits of those small wins or pay the price of skipping them. It adds up. Slowly. Quietly. But it adds up. One workout. One book. One meal. One decision. One action. Stack enough of those and you become someone you respect. When you commit to showing up daily, you stop depending on motivation. You stop waiting for things to feel right. You stop chasing perfect conditions, and you realize that power isn't about being in the mood. It's about moving anyway. The mood will catch up later. The emotion will return eventually. But action must lead first. Action is what separates talkers from builders. You don't need a big plan. You don't need fancy tools. You need to get up and do what you said you would do. You need to show yourself that your words have value. Because every broken promise to yourself chips away at your self-trust. And every day you follow through, you take that trust back. That's how you build belief. That's how you stop overthinking. That's how you silence the doubt. People will fail you. Situations will fall apart. Life will hit you in ways you didn't see coming. And through all of that, you've got to be the one thing that remains steady. You've got to be the one thing in your life that you can count on. That's what showing up means. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's not for attention. It's for you. It's for your peace, your strength, your goals. Some days showing up might be just getting out of bed and facing the day. Other times, it might be crushing your to-do list with full focus. The point isn't perfection. The point is presence. Show up in your own life. Don't sit on the sidelines waiting for a breakthrough. Don't wait for someone to come in and push you. You're the one who has to build it. No one's coming to hand you the results. You earn it. One choice at a time. And yes, it's hard. It's not always exciting. It's not always satisfying. Some days will feel pointless, but they're not. Because even the small days are part of the process. Even the quiet days matter. Even when the results aren't showing up yet, the effort you're giving is changing something inside of you. It's creating a standard. It's setting a tone. It's defining what kind of person you are. When you show up every day, you start to realize how much power you really have. You stop needing validation. You stop chasing quick fixes. You start trusting yourself more. You start feeling more in control, more focused, more alive. Because every day, you're telling yourself, I'm here, I care, I'm committed. And that daily commitment, that's rare. Most people can't hold it. Most people fall off. You don't have to. You can be the one who sticks with it. You can be the one who keeps going. You can be the one who looks back 1 year from now and sees what happens when you show up every single damn day without making excuses, without skipping, without waiting to be rescued. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. Not talent, not background, not resource, just the daily decision to be there for yourself. This is your life. No one else is responsible for it. No one else owes you consistency. That's on you. So show up, even when you're tired, even when it's boring, even when progress feels slow. Show up when you fail. Show up when you win. Show up when you're unsure. Because every time you do, you're shaping your character. You're defining your story. You're building the kind of person who doesn't quit on themselves. Every single damn day means you're not waiting. You're not making excuses. You're not looking for shortcuts. You're not hoping for someone to do it for you. It means you're here, fully, committed, present. And when you live like that, you don't need anyone else to believe in you. You don't need the world to notice. You become the kind of person who makes things happen simply because you keep showing up. Number 10. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't care. It's a habit that drains your energy, wastes your time, and chips away at your self-worth. You don't need to keep trying to prove yourself to people who have no intention of understanding you. If someone has already made up their mind about you, no explanation will change that. They're not listening to learn. They're listening to judge. And the more you talk, the more they twist your words, minimize your effort, or simply ignore your truth. That's not a conversation. That's a trap. You weren't born to live on the defensive. You weren't put on this earth to keep justifying who you are, what you do, or why you move the way you move. If someone doesn't respect your choices, your growth, or your mindset, you owe them nothing. Not a reason, not a breakdown, not a backstory, just distance. Because continuing to explain yourself over and over is not communication. It's begging for acceptance from someone who's already shown they don't care enough to give it. Caring people don't make you explain yourself 10 times. Caring people ask questions to understand you better. They create space. They listen with respect. But the ones who only show up when they want to question you, shame you, or bring you down, that's not interest. That's control. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself shrinking just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You have to understand this clearly. Your value isn't found in their approval. It's found in your actions, your effort, and your honesty with yourself. And when someone doesn't care about those things, they're not your people. The time you spend trying to explain your moves to the wrong people is time taken away from building your future. It's time stolen from your peace, your goals, your mental clarity. People who care don't make you feel guilty for evolving. They don't get offended when you set boundaries. They don't mock your growth or silence your voice. The ones who do, they've already decided that you're not allowed to outgrow who you used to be. And the more you try to explain, the more they'll resist. Not because your reasons aren't valid, but because your growth threatens their comfort. You don't owe an explanation for every change you make. You don't have to justify why you protect your time, why you've cut ties, why you've stopped overgiving, why you've chosen a new direction. Growth requires silence. Elevation requires focus. And sometimes the best thing you can say is nothing. Walk forward. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them get it wrong. Because if they cared, they'd ask. If they cared, they'd stay curious. If they cared, they'd respect your journey without needing a full report. There's a difference between clarity and over-explaining. Clarity is healthy. It sets expectations. But when you find yourself repeating your boundaries, explaining your choices, or defending your goals to the same people over and over, That's no longer clarity. That's you trying to earn respect from people who are unwilling to give it. And you don't have to live like that. Start paying attention to how conversations make you feel. Do you walk away feeling understood? Or do you feel drained? Do you feel empowered? Or do you feel like you just had to justify your existence? That feeling will tell you everything. If someone constantly makes you question your value, your path, your intentions, that's not a supportive connection. That's a cycle that needs to end. You're not required to stay available to people who don't respect your truth. You're allowed to stop responding. You're allowed to protect your peace. You're allowed to move on without a dramatic explanation. You don't owe closure to people who never gave you care. You don't owe peace to people who brought you confusion. You don't owe comfort to people who caused you discomfort. Protect your energy like your life depends on it. Because it does. When you stop explaining yourself, you start choosing yourself. You start reclaiming the time and mental space you used to give away so easily. You start learning how to validate your own decisions without looking for approval. That's where your strength grows. That's where real self-respect begins. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are not here to be liked by everyone. You are here to live with purpose. You are here to do what feels right for your growth, your health, your vision. And anyone who can't support that isn't meant to be part of the next chapter of your life. Don't fall into the trap of over-explaining every boundary you set. A boundary is not an invitation to debate. It's a statement. I don't do that anymore. I don't have the space for that. That doesn't feel right to me. That's enough. The ones who respect you will hear it and honor it. The ones who don't will challenge it, push back, or act confused. But their confusion is not your responsibility. You don't have to fix how they feel. You just have to stay true to what you know is right for you. Think about the hours you've spent trying to explain your heart to people who already decided not to listen. Think about the stress, the anxiety, the second guessing. How many times did you go to bed thinking, maybe I said too much? That's your sign. That discomfort is not growth. It's misalignment. You don't need to carry that anymore. Free yourself. Trust that people who truly care will make an effort to understand you. They won't expect perfection. They won't weaponize your honesty. They won't twist your words. They'll listen. And if you haven't found those people yet, keep walking. They exist, but you'll only make space for them when you let go of the ones who don't deserve another word from you. This is your life. You don't need to constantly narrate it for people who aren't paying attention. Your time is too valuable. Your energy is too limited. Give it to people who lift you, who ask questions because they care, who respect your no, who support your growth without needing to understand every detail. That's real connection. That's what you're worthy of. You don't have to convince people to treat you well. You don't have to over-explain why you've changed. You don't have to sit through another conversation that leaves you doubting your worth. Just because someone doesn't care doesn't mean your truth is any less valid. It just means it's not meant for them. Move forward with grace, with strength, with quiet confidence. Let your life speak louder than your explanations ever could. Let your peace speak louder than your defense. Let your growth speak louder than their judgment. And most of all, let your silence remind them that you're no longer trying to prove anything to anyone. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to become the person who no longer needs to explain why they chose to rise. That is freedom. That is maturity. That is power. You don't need anyone to believe in you before you believe in yourself. You don't need constant support, validation, or permission to grow, succeed, or move forward. You just need to decide that you're done waiting. The moment you stop depending on others is the moment you start becoming unshakable. This is your life, your responsibility, your future. No one's coming to fix it. No one's gonna live it for you. But that's not something to fear. That's something to be proud of. Because once you realize you're all you need, you stop holding back. So stand up, take control, move forward, and never forget, you've got everything it takes right now. If this message hits something real inside you, come back tomorrow. There's more waiting for you. More truth, more clarity, more strength. Because your life doesn't change once. It changes every day you choose to show up for yourself. See you in the next one.